Computer Science A, Unit 5, Writing Classes, Lesson 3, Accessor and Mutator Methods. The objectives of this lesson are to define behaviors of an object through non-void methods without parameters written in a class. Define behaviors of an object through void methods with or without parameters written in a class. Creating an accessor method or get methods. Remember, since our instance variables are private, nobody else can access them except that particular instance of the class. So if we want to access our data for our objects, we need a public method that we can call upon to get it. This way, people can access our data, but only in ways that we've approved or that the class has approved. These are called accessor methods or simply getters. An accessor method allows other objects to obtain the value of instance variables or static variables. This method is public. It's got to be public because the whole idea is you're allowing somebody else to look at your data in a controlled fashion, and has a return type that matches the instance variable it will be returning. The naming convention is the word get, followed by the instance variable name and an empty parameter list. Note, this is not required syntax. Okay, so it will compile without doing it this way, but it is good programming style and it's the convention. And you risk your program being unreadable by others if these conventions are not followed. Now, let's write the accessor methods for our dog class from lesson 1. Here's the partial class again. Hang on, I'm going to pause. Okay, I realized that this sentence had written right off the screen. So here is the partial class again. The constructors are not shown. We did that earlier in this unit. So we have our instance variables: string, private string name, private int age, private boolean good dog. Constructors and other methods are not shown. Our accessors: we need to be able to access name, age, and good dog. Let's first look at an accessor for the name. The name is a type string. So our accessor method is going to return string, and it should be called getName. So we have public. Remember, they're always public. This way other people can use them. String, that matches. getName, and we capitalize the name here because remember the camel case? getName. We don't pass it anything because all we're going to do is go and grab the name and return it. So return name. An accessor method, no real thinking. It's just a way for somebody to access data. Accessor for age and the accessor for behavior. After looking at the accessor for name, pause the video and try writing out the accessor for the age and for the behavior. And you're back. How did you do? Were you successful? For the age, you should have public int, get age, an empty parameter list, and you return age. For good dog, you have public boolean, get good dog, and you return good dog. ToString method. The toString method is an overridden method that is included in classes to provide a description of a specific object. It generally includes what values are stored in the instance data of the object. Why it is overridden will be ridden will be discussed more in Unit 9. For now, just know that it is a method that forms a nice string that includes the instance variables. And you include them in whatever order makes sense for the particular object that the class is describing. So toString is public and returns a string. toString method accepts no parameters. It's simply a way of writing out this particular object. So within dog, we would have public string toString. And how do we want to present the name, the age, and the good dog to somebody? Well, we could put return name space age. put the period. Is the name a good dog, question mark, and then return true or false. So up here, this is the string that would be returned. And in these blanks, you would put, in this blank right here, you would put whatever the name is. So if the name was Buddy, you'd put Buddy. And then you'd have a space, and you would have, I don't know, Buddy's 5. You would put 5 here. Is, and then you would have the name again. Is, whoever it is, a good dog? And then here is going to be true or false. And we're just going to go, kind of like all dogs go to heaven. We're just going to say he's a good dog. Okay? So it's going to go and it's going to pull the instance variables and plug them in here and print it out. So that way, if you want to print out what a dog is, this is what prints. If system.out.print or system.out.println is passed an object, that object's toString method is called and the returned string is printed, just like we created before. Now here's the thing. If the object does not have a toString method defined, what is printed is the object's memory location, which nobody really cares about. So it's always a good idea to add a toString method to your object class. If dog is stored, the location is, I don't know, 23,478 in memory, that's what's going to get printed, which doesn't make any sense at all to anyone. No one cares about the location, okay? Or at least not in the sense of printing it out. Now, creating a mutator method. These are set methods. A mutator method is something that will change the value of an instance variable. Another consequence of encapsulation is that we cannot edit our data from outside our object creating class. This provides an extra layer of protection for our data. But that means if we do want to change the values of our data, we have to use a method in our object creating class. These methods are called mutator methods or setters. So we got getters and setters. These are used to change the value of an instance variable after the object has already been created. Setter methods do not return anything, but they are passed the value that you want to change the instance variable to. Naming conventions have the method start with the word set, followed by the instance variable. So again, these are very, very basic methods. Now, again, a mutator's got to be public because people outside or other classes outside of our current class have to be able to access them. So it's going to be public. It's going to return nothing, so it's a void method. And it's going to take in whatever type it is. So let's look at the mutator for name. Name is a string, so it's going to be passed a string. So I should call this set string. So it should be public void set string. Let's see. Or set name. My bad. Public void set name. And I'm going to pass it a string. And I'm going to call it variable n. Then the only thing I'm going to do within the mutator method is to set the variable, the instance, the private instance variable name to the value that is in n. Boom. Name is set to n. And then it returns. I can have nothing and it will automatically return, or I could just put return and a semicolon. Now, you try writing for age and for good dog. Pause the video and write the mutator methods for age and for good dog. Did you try it? Public void set age int a. And by the way, this variable a, it could be anything, but you don't want it to be the variable age. You would then have two things declared age within the same method. That's not good. Okay, if you want to send in dog's age or Buddy's age, something like that, that's fine. But here it wouldn't make any sense. Just make it a. Make it something very simple because this method is extremely simple. Public void, set good dog, Boolean G, good dog is set to G, and you're done. And that concludes lesson 3.